Welcome to the Business Development Podcast, brought to you by the Global Business Development Association, delivering the strategies and tactics to boost your career and corporate growth.
Hello, BD pros, and welcome to the Global Business Development Association podcast called What is Business Development? Now, wouldn't you like a business development tactic that converts at over 50%? Over half the time when you execute on this business development tactic, you will have a conversion. Does that sound crazy? Especially in a world that's so congested with competitors and noise, where cold calls, cold outbounds, social media engagement, those only have conversions that are usually lower than 10%. Doesn't 50% conversion rate sound so much better to you? Well, it sounds a lot better to me. And today we're going to talk about that business development tactic. And we're going to talk to the father of B2B managed referral programs. There's a little bit of a hint, but hey, before we start there, we have the business development body of knowledge that covers this tactic and all the other tactics, operations, and strategy of business development. In the business development body of knowledge, that is the core base of knowledge universally worked upon by business developers, and it's the core knowledge you need to pass the Global Business Development Association Business Development Professional certification. So go to Amazon, grab your copy of the Business Development Body of Knowledge, we affectionately call the BD BOK. Get your copy, get started in the profession, or boost your career success in BD. And we're going to be boosting your conversion rates today by continuing a discussion that we started in the first part of a three-part episode series with the father of B2B referral programs, and that's Andrew Z. Brown. Andrew helps organizations increase revenues, enhance reputations, shorten sales cycles, and improve trust felt by key stakeholders. With his proven track record in B2B product marketing, corporate marketing, branding communications, channel marketing, alliance management, business development, and change employee communications. Andrew has launched and promoted over 200 products and services spanning 15 industries around the globe. And one of the products he's promoting today is his most recent book called Get Referred: How to Increase Sales Velocity, Volume, and Value. Came out in August of 2024 in paperback edition. It's available on Amazon. Very accessible prices, folks. It's a wonderful book, just very nicely presented. The book is so easy to read. I love the presentation style. Very, very professional and exceptional for the busy business developers like you to open the book, follow along, and start implementing these tactics yourself. So, Andrew Z. Brown, welcome back to the show.
Well, Tony, as always, thank you very much for having me and allowing me to speak to your very talented and impassioned group of BD followers and listeners, professionals who want, as you said earlier, want to convert their business, and they want that reliability, that predictability, and they want speed, because when you convert quickly, that amount of money turns into, you get your commissions, the money comes in, it increases cash flow, that money can be used throughout the organization. So speed, by focusing on conversions and fast conversions, is obviously critical to BD folks, as well as to people throughout the organization, on the executive level. So thank you very much for having me. And just a quick shout out. I've read the BD Body of Knowledge. Great book. So I strongly support everything that you do to help the BD community become stronger, more refined, better equipped. So thank you, Tony.
Well, thank you, Andrew, for those kind words. And folks, I'm showing on the screen, for those that are listening, this is the visual of Andrew's book, so you can easily recognize it on Amazon, but you'll also see it's a #1 bestseller on Amazon. Again, it's Get Referred. Comes in paperback. I have my copy dog-eared and highlighted in so many different directions. But you know what? Today, we're going to jump into part 2 of our multi-part episodes to go through the managed referral program concept that's in the book. Of course, we're not going to cover all the details. Don't want to spoil all those pleasant surprises you'll read in the book, but we've been making our way slowly through the process. We started in the previous episode, and we'll have a link to that in the show notes for this episode. So you can go back and listen to the first episode that we discuss this program. And Andrew, just to get everybody caught up, if they happen to miss the first episode, can we walk through what they may have missed just in a broad level? I have, for folks that are listening, I have the graphic up. And let's start with step 1, just a quick summary of what do you mean by step 1?
Yeah, so step 1 is, and if I take a look at the graphic, selecting initial goals. And so when you are setting about doing a referral strategy, it is critical for you to set specific goals. And those goals could be selling specific products or services, certain targets, certain geographic regions. For each referral source, we want to set up a target for themselves. But all of that is dictated by your organization's revenue targets. Otherwise, a referral program isn't going to be, if you will, successful. It won't meet up your expectations. So there's a whole bunch of detail in the book, but it really is to ask you to set goals, revenue generating goals that make sense for your organization or your department or yourself.
Yeah, I think the key takeaway there, Andrew, was, so many people automatically think, oh, well, I just need to set a revenue goal, right? That's the whole point of this referral program. I increase conversions, generate more revenue. But the subtle thing that we discussed last time is there are other goals for the organization. And so you should have a holistic perspective on all of the different goals you want to accomplish. Okay, so let's jump into the second step.
Sure. Oh, and just to close the loop on that. Thank you for saying that, Tony, because when you have a number of different stakeholders and you identify their goals as well within the firm, you increase the likelihood of a referral program being embraced and being successful. So step 2 is getting referral ready. We talked last time about, everyone wants to get referrals. We know the power of referrals in terms of speed and conversion and ROI. But not every organization is ready to receive referrals. So last time we touched upon the first issue, which is to get referral ready, you want to quantify your reputation. You owe it to referral sources that you choose to put in their hands or in their minds some very tangible measures as to what your reputation is. And there are a number of different ways that you can do it, but that you owe to your referral sources because they're putting their reputation on the line.
Okay, great. So quantify that reputation. All right. So let me bring the graphic back up with your overall. Okay, where do you want to start now in this episode?
So I'm just going to add a little bit more meat on the bones for the Get Referral Ready. And so I'm going to talk briefly about 2 areas. One, addressing capacity, and one, reinforcing value of referrals. So what I mean by addressing capacity, when you have a referral source and they are bringing referred business to you, you have to actually be able to take that influx of business. And it's going to come in with a different set of expectations, and it's going to come in, if you will, through a different channel, a different person, or a different organization. So you should review your client onboarding, making sure that that's a smooth process. And you also need to define how that referred business will be treated differently than business that's coming through other sources. And
what do you mean by that? I mean, are you saying like, okay, you're getting the referral, it comes in. I mean, you have other leads come in too, or you're pursuing other leads. Give me an example, like how
Sure.
you would treat it differently. Do you
Sure.
send your referral partner a note or something and say,
You
"Hey, I
know,
just got the lead and thank you very much," or do you treat the lead differently? I mean, what do you mean?
so the answer to that, broadly speaking, is yes. You want to define what that difference is. It may very well be sending a note to the referral source, thanking them. It may be for the client, responding to them faster. And you may put an SLA, a service level agreement, saying, when something comes in from a referral, that client we're going to recognize within 24 hours or 48 hours. Or they might get a note from the president or the CEO.
Wow.
Welcome.
Okay.
Welcome. It can be it can be a small token, but you want to make it different. And you want the referral source to know that these folks are going to be treated differently.
Yeah, I like that. Obviously, if referrals typically have a higher conversion rate, you
Correct.
should be on it because there are statistics. I think I have them in the BD Bach that talks about how it's eye opening how many leads are just ignored
Mhm.
by um, business developers and folks that need to respond to them. And the statistical data shows, and it's obvious, the longer that lead sits unattended, the lower and lower the conversion rate gets. So if you have a lead that comes in from a referral source, we know referrals can convert up to 50% or more. Well, then you should be Johnny on the spot, as we say, all over um, that lead opportunity, that referral, and very quickly respond
And
because it
that's
has a high conversion rate, and you owe it. You owe it to your partner, right?
Precisely. And again, it doesn't have to be a monumental headache to have a piece of referred business be treated differently. You may add them to your holiday list, for example, right? And that's okay. Again, let the referral source know how a referred business is going to be treated in a special way. That makes the referral source feel as if you actually value them and that you value the referred business they're bringing in. So that's the first thing. It's a capacity issue and when it comes to onboarding. The second point is reinforcing value of referrals in the organization. So identify events or activities in your organization. They could be weekly or bi-weekly sales meetings and highlight, hey, look, Tony brought in a referral. Wait a second. So when a company sees, when a group of BD and sales folks see that referrals are being called out, that they're being, these are important, then it reinforces there's a value placed on referrals and by extension, referral sources.
Yeah, and I think to go one step further too, if you could show the performance of your referral sources, hey, this referral source gave me 10 great leads last month, and I already converted 2 of them.
Yeah,
Well, everybody else starts to see that and say, "Wow, okay, I'm jumping all over that opportunity to engage
exactly.
with that referral source." So, if you could prove those conversion rates are higher, I think that also, is a pretty powerful medicine. Okay,
Exactly. Yeah.
so
Yeah. And a couple of other practical things that people can do. Identify if there are any practices that actually hinder referrals. And I'll give you. I was just speaking to a client yesterday, and we were talking about their intake process, and we were talking about how to demonstrate a value on referrals. Well, we identified that there were some things that were stopping or hindering referrals. And one was simply about tracking referrals. All they had to do was add one additional field in their intake about a referral source. They'd never done that before. So it's identifying to reinforce the value of referrals. Sometimes it's taking a look at internal processes and saying, are we actually doing something that's preventing referrals from coming in? So that was a very simple one. And ideally, also to really demonstrate that you value referrals, allocate responsibility for someone to manage referral sources. We all
Yeah.
know that unless something is managed, unless resources are put to it, it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
So,
and I think that's what you're really trying to get at in step number 2 is be referral ready. And a big part of that is, okay, in an ideal world, this is how we would love to be able to respond to our referral sources and be able to track them, move them through pipeline. But there's also reality. We have limited resources, so we'll only be able to do these parts of our ideal referral plan, right? Because you need to set realistic expectations within your organization and with your referral partners, don't you?
very much so. And that's where we step in, because we will help. The wonderful thing about referral programs is that they can run parallel to BD, sales, and marketing. They don't have to get in the way. They can be a real complement. And that's where we come in and we help manage, because managing a series of referral sources, once you've evaluated them, that takes time. I mean, it's worthwhile time, because as you said, Tony, earlier, having a referral, harnessing referrals turns into conversions, and actually referral programs. Most recent stat I saw was that the ROI on a managed referral program is in excess of 40 times. So
Wow.
putting the effort into it makes sense. And I would argue that once you do that, it might actually cause you to take a look at some of the other initiatives and saying, well, wait, what's our ROI on that? We know the ROI on a referral program is monumental. So
Yeah.
why don't we start to reallocate? Anyway, you don't have to do that. You can start a pilot program of a managed referral program. You can take a look at it. Again, it doesn't get in the way of everything else. You can keep on plugging away with all the other programs, and this will run smoothly, a nice, profitable engine of qualified leads and converted leads just runs in the background.
Yeah, I if I could just unpack one thing you said
Yeah.
there, I thought it was really interesting. Is obviously in Get a Referral Ready, we talked about in the previous episode, is having those KPIs
Mhm.
to be able to measure the success of your program, which conversion rate should be a big one, and return on investment should be another. And I think having also those benchmarks, those industry benchmarks of, okay, we know we can get up to maybe over 50% because that's an industry benchmark. And we should be able to get 40 times ROI as well. So are we actually achieving those? And if you're not, then those failure to hit those KPI triggers could be then something that causes you to think about, okay, what is preventing us from hitting those benchmarks?
Correct.
Because if others in industry can do it, then why aren't we?
Yeah.
And then the second thing is, why aren't we doing them at scale?
Right.
That's kind of where the ROI metric comes in. Yes, let's say, okay, yeah, you're hitting over 50% referral, but are you hitting the ROI? Do you have the right kind of scale? And if you're not able to scale it, then you're not going to have the ROI numbers. Okay, so we have about 10 more minutes here, Andrew. Let's jump into the next
Part.
two steps.
And then you've led the perfect path to it as well, because we talk about scale. And the one thing that's really fascinating and wonderful about referral programs is you can achieve growth without scale. Now, take that in for a moment, because that is sometimes a scary thing, because we all hear that we've got to scale, scale, scale. Well, imagine having the growth without having to build the infrastructure, without having to do the expense. One of the other key metrics of a referral program is customer acquisition cost, which plummets when you use referral sources. And when it comes to scaling, again, we need to step back and say it's really growth that we're looking for. That's why you scale. You're not scaling for scale's sake, you're scaling for growth's sake. And the next phase in the referral program process is finding the right referral sources. Because if you find the right referral sources, you can blow your numbers out of the water with usually under a half a dozen people. So it's really important to find those half dozen people. And so we want to spend time on evaluating referral sources. How do we do that? Is probably the next question. Well, I would say start first by looking at the data you probably already have in your organization. And I would say think of grouping referral sources in 4 discrete groups. And in Get Referred, there's a simple grid called the Referral Champion Grid. And along one dimension, you have the amount of revenue that's brought in by referrals. And on the bottom, on the x-axis, it's frequency. So frequency and value. And you want to take your potential referral source candidates as you take a look at the people in your orbit, and you start mapping them against that grid. And I can say you can do individuals, or you can say, you know what, these organizations are bringing us referrals. Okay, so you might want to place the different organizations on that grid, or you might want to say industry. You might find that financial services brings you a lot of referrals, high value referrals. So they go on the grid. So you start to use the data that you have to start to evaluate potential referral sources. And the nice thing about this framework is you get to dictate that frequency and the revenue thresholds that are relevant to your organization. For some organizations, it's going to be smaller buckets or smaller prices, but you get to dictate it.
Yeah. But you said, look at the data. What if you don't have data, right? I mean, what if you're just starting off and you haven't engaged with these referral sources consistently? We always have folks in our network that randomly will send us an opportunity every now and then. It's not a referral management program, folks.
Right.
That's just, that's just happenstance. That's just waiting for magic to happen.
Exactly.
Not a good business development strategy, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about a deliberate, proactive program where you are regularly engaging and sharing referrals with your partners. So I guess my question then, Andrew, and let me just play it out here. If you don't have an existing relationship, or you just kind of had a few referrals here and there from partners, what I think is you would probably look at, are they engaging with the same ICP that I am? Are they engaging with the same ideal customer profile that I have? Do they have the same type of customers that I want, that I need? Okay, that's great. That's kind of your leading indicator as far as the value curve is, concerned. I think another thing too would be, how close are they to being a competitor? If they are, there's kind of that continuum of competitor to complementary partner, range. Obviously, competitors would be less inclined unless they are maybe pruning some of their old clients that they don't want anymore because it just doesn't map to their product set or services or whatever the case might be. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have solid complements. There's just no competitive overlap at all. Ideally, I think that's probably where you want to start off, because it's a solid ICP fit and they're not a direct competitor. And then the other thing too is just frequency. How many have they brought to us in the past? That should be a leading indicator of how many they'll probably bring to you in the future, right?
It can be. Actually, you talk about some things which I put in slightly different buckets, but hopefully they're relatable. And it's something that we call basic referral math. That is, a referral source is only going to bring you business that you want if they have 3 key qualities: the skills to refer, the willingness to refer, and the opportunities to refer. And when you talk about in connection with the relevant ICP, that we're talking about the opportunities that people have to refer the business that you want. But they have to have all those qualities. Willingness, and you talk about competitors. Are competitors going to bring you business? Probably not. So we want to evaluate potential referral source candidates among the dimensions of skill, willingness, and opportunity. Now, there is a very detailed question guide in Get Referred to get started. And the process that you do that is that first you take a look at people within your orbit, and it's probably not going to be existing clients, although existing clients can be great sources of referrals. But actually, we've done a lot of research, and it's professional colleagues that are more likely to. Again, we talk about the research in the book as to who's likely to refer. But those three qualities are key. So you start with taking a look at your orbit, and you feel them out about their past experience in referring. And you can ask them a simple question. Do you refer business? When do you refer business? You are looking for a pattern of referral behavior. Doesn't mean that they're going to bring you everything right away, or that they're awesome at doing it, but having that habit of looking for opportunities to refer is a predominant characteristic of a successful referral candidate. So you've spoken maybe to half a dozen people. Maybe you start with an orbit of 10. You speak to all of them, and you're down to 6 people who have demonstrated that they have a history of referring. And you just go and have a coffee with them and find out, hey, what does it take for you to refer? So understand a bit of them. Then it's a bit of a drill down. Then it makes sense to have, with those people that you've narrowed in, have one-on-one interviews to dig deeper into questions like, why don't you refer us? Why do you refer competitors? What would it take to get you to refer us? And I strongly advocate using a third party to have those conversations. And here's the reason. Because if these are people within your orbit who you've done business with, or who you know professionally or personally, they will be reluctant to tell you the full story as to why they may not refer you. But if you bring a third party, and that's again something that we often do with our clients, we sit down with their potential referral source candidates, and we have real open discussions about what it takes for them to refer. And we evaluate them on, again, I'm going to say it again, skills, willingness, and opportunities to refer.
Wow, I like that. I've never really considered bringing a third party into that discussion, but I can see the tremendous value in doing that, where you can get more candid feedback from your referral sources, because they don't want to offend you.
Exactly.
For whatever reason, and maybe just a misperception on their part that they think they would offend you. I guess this is very powerful information. And Andrew, we're already at the top of the show, so we will have to pick up this discussion again in the next episode. Again, we thank you so much for your generosity. Folks, I'm showing just where we've come so far. We talked about step 1, setting the initial goals. Step 2, get referral ready. Step 3, evaluate the referral sources. We're taking time to really painstakingly talk about these first few steps, because it's so critical for establishing that solid foundation first. You don't want to build your referral house on shaky ground. And so, Andrew, thank you so much for sharing your time and insights with us. I am just so fascinated by the depth of the knowledge that you have, and how folks can really contribute and implement these tactical tools in a referral program to be referral ready. And folks, again, all of this is packed into Andrew's 5-star rated book on Amazon. The book is called Get Referred. It's a #1 bestseller on Amazon. You can grab it in paperback. You can grab it in the Kindle version, of course. And you can join us here again in the next episode to continue the path as we walk through a implementation methodology for managed referral programs. Andrew, before we end the show, how can folks follow your work? How can they get in touch with you?
As always, feel free to reach out to me via LinkedIn. You can reach out to me at andrewb@getreferred.biz. You can, I'll say, contact Tony. Contact Tony. badger him. And
I will be a referral source for you.
That's right. That's
All
right.
right. Great. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us in this second episode in our multi-part series talking about implementation of referral management programs. And folks who are listening, we'll look forward to seeing you in the next episode as well. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you all.
Thank you for listening to the Business Development Podcast. Join our free community of corporate partners and business development professionals advancing the art, science, and ethics of the business development profession at gbdassociation.org.